So I woke up this morning and I was just mindlessly scrolling through Instagram and I came across this video of a guy taking care of his ant colony that he made in like this little ant city that he bought online. And at first I was like, oh, it's just a bunch of ants. But I gave it like a couple seconds and watched it a little bit and oh my gosh, it goes so deep. Because when you look at ants, when you think of ants, you see like this small little being that is so useless, so minuscule, and then you just crush it or whatever and not think about it at all. But once you actually see a colony at work, oh my gosh, it is so cool, and I just want to talk about that in this video. Us humans can really relate to ants on how they function as a species. Ants are a species of collaboration. One ant is kind of useless and can't really do much, but together they can create really complex structures and a functioning ant society. How like we humans do. You know, one of us can't really do much, but when we're together, we can make mass weapons of destruction and wipe all of life on Earth. Ants take up around 20% of all biomass on land. There was a study in 2022 that estimated the global amount of ants in the world is around 20 quadrillion ants. That is roughly, for every human, there's 2.5 million ants. Like, you guys know that old question of which species out there would dominate the world if they had the human intellect? Yeah, I'd say probably ants would dominate the world if they have human intellect. They're already making functioning societies with roles in their colonies. And with this number, imagine what they can do if they were just smart as us. They would definitely dominate the Earth. All ants have an important job in their colony, but at the end of the day, it's all about protecting the queen and making sure that she's laying enough offsprings. In each colonies, there are rooms specific for their function. First, there is the nursery room. This is where all the eggs and larvae are often put at. Then there's the queen's chamber, which is a room designated for the queen and her laying eggs. Then there's the food storage, which is where they store other foods from seeds, prey, or fungus. There is the bakery, which is where ants crush seeds and mix them with their saliva to make some sort of ant bread. There is the garbage chamber, which is where they dispose waste and other debris, and a worker chamber, which is an area for workers to hang out and rest. Outside the colonies, ants also have a designated cemetery for dead bodies. This is to stop the spread of disease and pathogens from entering the colony and causing damage. But there are some other species out there, specifically the Formica archboli, that uses dead ant bodies from other ant species as decoration around their territory. I think this is just to ward off the enemies or use the dead bodies as a scent to kind of blend in with the enemy. But there's so many ant species out there that have their own way of living and like their unique little traits and perks and stuff. Like the leafcutter ants that have a special organ that can make noise out of them to communicate. Now, they can use this to ask other ants for help, or hey, come this way, or hey, come over here, this leaf has a lot of sugar in it, we should harvest this one instead. The black crazy ants dash around quickly instead of traveling in a straight line. The fire ants are really aggressive, they won't even team up with other fire ant colonies. And with all these different species, there's definitely gonna be a battle between them, and this is called an ant war. They fight over like food supply spots, or trying to make one colony move out of the area, or just simply eradicate them, or sneak in and steal their larvae and bring home to feed to their own colonies. And if you ever watch one of these ant war videos on YouTube, they are really intense. I don't know why, these are just ants, but I'm just so invested for some reason. Ants can form alliances of other ant species, and with enough colonies combined together, these can make a really huge colony. So in each ant colony, they have different classes of ants. First, they have the minima. These are the smallest class, and they're the brood care. They are like the jack of all trades. They can do every job a colony expects them to do. They can take care of the larvae and the eggs, they can protect the queen, they can make food, they can go foraging, or they can go into battle. But since they're the jack of all trades, they're not the greatest in a specific role. Next, we have the media. These are the mid-size ants, and they are the perfect size for foraging. In fact, most media ants are just foragers. They don't have any other roles. Next, we have the majors and super majors. These are the largest of largest ants. They're the soldiers, the defense, the weapons. They're made for combat. Seeing a super major in the battlefield is like seeing a mega tank. Like, this guy is freaking huge, a juggernaut on a battlefield. Like, if I was an ant and I had to face off this guy, I think I would just accept my fate. He's gonna rip me in half. But even if I die, I do not die in vain. I die giving an opportunity for my team to get a hit off of him. That's another thing why I think ants are so cool. Even if I die, my ant buddies are going to attack him from the sides and behind. Now remember when I said the minima? Those are the smallest kind of ants in their species? Yeah. Now the big ants are gonna go clash on the big ants head to head, while the smaller ants are going to go to the side, ripping the limbs off of them. There's a lot of teamwork in these, so even a super major, they may look scary, but with teamwork, they can take them down. For being such little guys, they have so much tactics that they use, like covering food supplies with dirt and debris so the enemy colonies can't use it or find it. They make trails for foragers to go from foraging sites to another or go straight home, making a flatter terrain to navigate. And on those trails, worker ants spreads these chemicals everywhere on the trail to invite other colonies to join them, kinda like recruiting. Or they leave a more permanent lasting chemical signal to tell other ants that this is a trail. When two trails from two colonies are next to each other, both sides put up their biggest and strongest ants between them as a barrier, warding off the other colony, kinda like signaling a truce. Some ant species make worker ants with huge heads so they can block the entrances for attackers. This protects the larvae and most importantly, the queen. Some ant species will have carriers that carry the leaf home while having other smaller ants, like the minia, ride on top of the leaf defending the carriers from air attacks like the forward flies. These flies try to inject the carriers with parasites on them, but with these smaller ants on top of the leaf, they serve as like a guard for these carrier ants. Ant colonies usually has one queen, but the Argentine ants, although they are really small compared to other ants, they invest all their points into numbers, having multiple queens per colony. But there's so much more cool things about ants. I've only covered like around 4-ish species compared to like the 16,000 other species of ants. But I wonder, why has no one made a video game about ants? I think this would be the greatest strategy game to ever be made. There is 16,000 species that each have their own unique traits. Imagine if I'm running like a fire ant faction. I'm super aggressive and I'm really good at attacking, but you're like an ant that specializes in fungi. So you don't care about food supply spots, you only care about building up your fungi from inside your base. And ants have really complex tactics that they use, and there's resource management like seeds, weeds, and flesh. There's the queen that you gotta protect, and there's structures that you can build inside your colony like the rooms that I said earlier. There's so much cool things you can do in this. Like, imagine I have a team of ants and you have a team of ants and we try to contest over a food supply spot. But yeah, if you guys know how to make video games, please make an ant game. I feel like this is such a good opportunity that no one has grasped yet. But anyways, I think ants are cool. Every time I see them in my house now, I'm gonna have a different view on them. But yeah, thanks for watching. Bye!